Ashton Kutcher, we're going to continue with this entertainment thing in a very interesting way. Ashton Kutcher is an actor, a producer, a writer. He's got dozens of movies and TV shows to his credit. He's also a pretty aggressive user and thinker about technology and particularly social media and Web 2.0 in his work. He currently has around 3 million Twitter followers, which I think is slightly more than Andy Serwer has, who is going to interview him. But they will say interesting things, and I just hope that Andy doesn't get punked. So, Andy Serwer and Ashton Kutcher.
There he is. Hey. Is that like Ball of Confusion that's playing? Maybe not. You all aren't old enough to know what that tune is.
Very aggressive song.
I know, it is. So, Ashton, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
To me, welcome.
Welcome to you. Welcome to everybody.
Yeah. Before we get going, I was told everything we were going to talk about was going to be confidential, so I have a stack of NDAs in the back.
Yeah.
Everybody could sign it and drop it off on the stage.
Right. Digital NDAs. Anyway, you guys probably know about Ashton's role as a new media entrepreneur, and just back in the green room talking to him about it, I will tell you the guy is totally on top of this stuff and incredibly knowledgeable. So it's really going to be great talking to him. I think a good place to start, and maybe you're getting sick of this already, but we're going to go there anyways. April 16th of this year was the day that Ashton famously passed 1 million followers on Twitter, and we were talking with Biz Stone the other day and talking about those big moments for Twitter, and that was certainly one of them. And of course, he was in competition with a part of our company at Time Warner, which is CNN, and it was sort of like Ashton versus Larry King. Who are you going to put your money in there on that one? And then Brittany was there in the mix, and Ellen a little bit. So, did you really do a ding dong ditch on Ted Turner's house? You said you were going to do that?
Yeah, I did that live on Ustream.
Excellent.
We actually did Ding Dong Ditch Ted Turner.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That works out.
Yeah, it worked out. And then I put a +K sign over the top of the CNN sign. I actually broke into the roof of the CNN building and dropped the sign over.
Major security risk here. So now you've got 2.9 million followers,
yeah.
Right? And I noticed, though, that you were only following 186 people.
Right.
Including Misha Barton. I saw that you were following. How's Misha doing?
She's doing great.
Okay,
yeah, she's doing really good. She's on her way to New York to start shooting our show.
Good. All right. And so 3 million's coming. So anyway, the 1 million follower thing, where did that idea come from for that?
Well, I was actually, I started using Twitter as a communication device to stay close to my fans and actually create collaborative projects for the web with my fans. And as the audience started to grow, I was shocked to find out that I was just behind CNN in the number of followers, and actually found it to be relatively pertinent to the state of social media that one individual could have as much influence on a social network as an entire media conglomerate. And I actually thought that it would be pretty profound if I could surpass CNN as an individual, as one voice in my ability to syndicate and broadcast content to people and have an interactive conversation with a social media environment that was more relevant than that of CNN, of the conglomerate. And so I thought, let's see if I can do that. And I didn't realize it was going to become a media show,
right.
But it did, and that was all right. And what I think is interesting about it now, whether or not I actually have the relevance of CNN, I highly doubt. But what I really think is interesting about it is that we're turning media back over to the consumers of the media, mm-hmm. and that the consumers of the media are becoming the creators of the media and also the editors of the media. And through that collaboration that's existing on the web, I think that it has and will forever change media. And I think it's really relevant to the monetization of the platform as we go from a broadcast platform that has been television that we've all been so used to, where you have a vertical now that creates the content, broadcasts the content, edits the content, and then syndicates it out in a one-to-many fashion. And I think that that's actually the statement of, to me, of beating CNN was changing that one-to-many conversation to a one-to-many, many-to-one conversation. And also on top of it, with Twitter being a one-to-one conversation where you can actually have an individual conversation, you can broadcast to millions of people, and those millions of people can respond and influence the creation of the content at the same time.
Right. Now, I thought, given your importance to Twitter and, your connection that, you'd be up there in San Francisco and they'd be like offering you a board seat and all this, but, that's not really the way your relationship with them has worked out, right?
No. That didn't happen. I had a conversation with Biz and Evan, but look, they already had a platform that was working. They already had a platform that was trending in a positive direction. Right. I may have given it a boost in a mainstream media environment, but if they were to compensate me, then there are a lot of other people that also have a lot of followers that were there even before me, that they would have to compensate in other ways, and it would dilute their business in a way. And also, for me, I think it would make my connection with the people that I'm having a conversation with somewhat ingenuine, because now all of a sudden there's an investment that I'm trying to leverage within that conversation. And I think one of the things that we're learning and that we know about the web is that people don't want to be sold something.
Right.
They don't want somebody who's trying to financially gain off of their back, even though they somewhat know that it's happening. It's not a very advertiser-friendly community just yet.
Right. I think people know about your ventures in new media a little bit sort of generally, but you do have this company. There's Katalyst Films and then Katalyst Media, right? Mm-hmm. And so why don't you give a thumbnail sketch to everyone here and talk about what you're doing?
Well, what we're trying to do as a company is we're trying to bridge. We were a traditional television company. We started out with Punk'd and Beauty and the Geek, and we have a show, True Beauty, and this show, The Beautiful Life, a lot of beautiful things.
I'm going to punk that CEO of Hewlett-Packard back there afterwards, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
So we have all of those television shows that we're growing, and then we have a film business. We produced several films, The Butterfly Effect and Guess Who, and just did this movie, Five Killers, and ultimately we felt like, okay, here's the space of the web. We've been able to successfully produce content in these other environments. Can we produce content on the web and then start to cross that content over, where web-produced content becomes television content becomes web content? Because what we felt about content on the web is that, for the most part, the professionally made content on the web is promotional for television or films, and or second-run syndicated content, like what's on Hulu and reruns of television shows or things that people have already seen on TV. Right. And we thought if we could build original content on the web and then transfer it to television, we thought that it could be interesting to advertisers, because now they can enter an environment of original content that is safe, as opposed to the UGC content that you don't know what you're going to get, right. And that potentially we could cross those platforms. And we've done it successfully now with a couple of properties. One being the Blog Girls that we started on the web and is now moved into television, and another one is a program called I Pledge that my wife and I did, that was a community service initiative that we did around the inauguration, that now is going to move into a television format as well.
So I don't want to talk more about that, but it just occurred to me, I want to ask you something about Twitter, and that is, so how many times a day do you tweet, you think?
Depends on the day.
Like what? Like 3, 10, 12, 15?
There are days that it's 20. There are days that I don't.
So you actually, well, that's good, because it means you actually, you're only doing it when you think you have something to say, as opposed to, people who are talking about, as Barry was saying, going to the dentist.
Yeah, sometimes they talk about going to the dentist.
Yeah, I bet some people want to hear
that. Well, I think there's a little bit of a, curtain between people who are on big screens acting and their fans, and so I think sometimes people are interested in that. But a lot of times, what I'm tweeting are philanthropic views, political views, and then content that I think is interesting or funny. We ran a campaign with Kellogg's around Feeding America that I actually went out to the audience and said, send me a video of you saying this, this, and this, and we cut it together and built a whole program, and Kellogg's donated $10 million to Feeding America. So that was a great sort of philanthropic campaign that we were able to do on Twitter.
Now, besides that sort of philanthropic point on that one, why do you tweet? Why does one tweet? Why are you tweeting?
Well, one, I find it fun.
Yeah.
I find it entertaining. Two, I think it gives you an ability to stay in tune with your audience and trending topics and what's changing, what's happening, what people are finding interesting. But also, as it's continued to grow, it gives me a great platform to syndicate content on. And in an instant, I mean, do you know how much movie studios pay to connect with an actor's audience and tell them that the movie's coming out on August 14th?
That's where they spend a bulk of their money.
They spend half of the budget of the film. So if you make a $50 million film, they spend $10 to $25 million just trying to reach the Ashton Kutcher audience and let them know that the film is coming out on this date and that they might want to see it, right?
Right.
I can do it for free with pushing a button, and I can let these people know. And so there's a value proposition with my other job. And I'm not gonna sit out there and like slam people over the head and say you have to go see this. But I'll let you know when it's coming out, and so that's valuable to me. And more so, I think that really being able to get involved with people in a different way. And I mean, we saw with the election with Barack Obama what social media can do for a movement. And I think the things that happen around Iran, I think the Feeding America campaign that we run, I think the awareness that we raised for malaria no more through the million people race, being able to do that and rally people around a cause or an interest, that's an extraordinarily valuable thing.
That's interesting because you're talking about, some of it is you don't know where it's going, but you just want to play in there. I mean, you have to be in that game a little bit as sort of a media entrepreneur, I think, right?
Yeah, look, I think that it's valuable to play in there. You don't have to.
Right.
But it's
Barry doesn't.
Barry doesn't, and I understand why Barry doesn't.
Right. You mentioned Kellogg's. I just wanted to point out to everyone that you have your parents have this Fortune 500 connection. I think, didn't your dad work at Kellogg's and your mom worked for P&G, I read? Is that right?
My dad worked on the fruit roll-ups line at General Mills, and my mom made
Mills,
Head & Shoulders shampoo for Procter & Gamble.
Right. So definitely a Fortune 500 guy. We like that very much. It's great.
Yeah.
They
were the people that made the people the fortune.
What was it Mark Andreessen was talking about when he was at IBM? He said he was 17 layers below the CEO, he counted, and was a little disconcerting. So let me ask you about Katalyst, and where do you want to take this thing? Like, where's it going?
Well, my hope and my vision, I really see the convergence between television and digital media happening right now. It's already happening. Ad dollars are moving over, relatively quickly. It's still only a slice of the pie, but if we can have our foot in that arena and actually understand that space and understand how to successfully syndicate content within a social media story or within a social media platform, be it Facebook or Twitter or whatever's next, we'll have a leg up when the convergence actually does take place. And so that's really the future of it is continuing to cross the platforms, whether you're doing a television show, allowing people to have an interactive, collaborative participation in the show from an audience point of view, I think is one of the things that's going to happen in the future. And as a company to be there and to be there first, I think that there's definitely going to be value in that at some point.
So we have any questions out there? I'm going to have some. I want to ask some questions. Well,
great, thank you guys.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll ask a few more questions for you. I'm sure people will get some going on. So how are you building this business? How's it being funded at this point?
We did a financial raise, I think it was 2 years ago now. And we're a profitable business. Our digital business was profitable in its first year. This year, our television business is profitable. So at this point, it's self-funded. as we continue to grow and maybe take on some additional platforms, we may go out and raise some more money.
Okay. And how many people work there? How does it work? Like, what's it like working at Katalyst? You're saying you have a couple dozen people there.
Yeah, we have about 30 people. We have three distinct divisions: our film division, our television division, our digital division. We all try to meet once a week and find where the cross-platform convergence can take place. We try to utilize the digital platform to market our television properties, but more importantly, we try to find an interactive component to everything that we're doing. Even the film, I just shot this film, The Killers, and we were in France and we were in Georgia shooting, and by being interactive on Twitter, there was a day that we were shooting a scene and we were looking for a joke, right? Mm-hmm. And I sort of laid out what the parameters of the joke was, and I let my audience come up with the joke, what the joke was going to be within the scene. And people sent in hundreds of jokes into the system, and I actually plugged one of them into the movie. We'll see if it makes the cut.
Right.
But creating an interactive process in creation, I feel that allows people to actually own what it is that they're doing. So find, a day at Katalyst is a little bit of a stir of media.
That whole creative interaction during the creative process is really amazing. I was flying out here and ended up sitting next to the manager of Motley Crue, and he told me that they were making this new album and they were putting these sort of shoots out on the web, and that you could download these shoots and then put in a drum part and send it back in, and then they would incorporate that into the record, which is pretty cool.
Well, I think collaboration I can get. I was really surprised when we did this Kellogg's thing, how much content came back from people and how creative the average citizen, is. And so one of the things that we're doing with our production company is we're making our production company an open platform for content creators.
What does that mean?
In the same way that Facebook is an open platform for content creators in the tech space, we are going to be an open platform for content creators in the entertainment space, and allow people to use our facilities, our resources, our syndication ability to marry their content with advertisers and push it into the social media space and in the social media story.
I think we have a question over here. One over here, I'm sorry. I have a mic there, so we'll...
I wonder if you could give some examples of how you see advertising changing and social media coming into it, and the role that entertainment will play in advertising. Yeah,
I think that they're gonna have to marry one another in a more in a deeper way. My feeling is that the banner ads and that kind of stuff is about as powerful as a billboard. And if you ask anybody that is out there, advertising a movie, which is basically the advertising that I've learned about, billboards aren't really valuable. It's more of an ego play for the movie makers, and they're not really valuable as far as turnover. So I think that in the same way, on the internet, the billboard type media will eventually be reduced. Now look, billboards are still, there's still some very successful billboard companies that are out there. And so I'm sure it will still exist to some degree, but I think that the people that have grown up on the internet have trained themselves to not even see it, to not remember it, and to not really retain it. So I think that the rich media marriage of advertisers and content creators, where the content and the advertisement is seamless, will be the future of that business. And so finding professional content creators that advertisers trust, and that they know that they're going to build content within the parameters of their desire and what they want to represent their company is going to become essential. And so UGC will still exist. It's just the U will be professionals, or general people that have a filter that advertisers can trust.
A question back here.
Yeah, Ashton, I'm wondering also with the use of social networking, the way you use Twitter, and I'm a journalist, so I wonder, does it also allow you to control your message more, to kind of bypass media? You don't have to worry about being misquoted if you're doing the quotes. And the way other actors, you never see Adam Sandler do a print interview. He only does television, and I think that's part of his motivation. I'm just wondering how much that also factors into the way athletes and actors are using these forums.
Yeah, well, look, absolutely. One of my initial desires on Twitter was, well, if I can talk directly to my fans, I don't have to rely on a People magazine or an Us Weekly or some other person who's going to twist what it is that I'm doing or speculate whether or not I'm having a baby with my wife. I can just tell them that I'm not. I'm not.
Okay. Sorry.
And I don't have to, and we don't have to sit around and rely on that speculation. I can tell you right now that Misha Barton's doing fantastic. She's on her way to New York to work on our show, and I can give it to my audience straight if they ask me. And we can have that direct conversation without the filter, and I think that that's extraordinarily valuable.
Another question over here.
Anthony Masucci from Daily Finance. Ashton, why do you think Twitter works? I mean, you're obviously popular on it, but why Twitter versus other social networking sites that have been around for the last few years?
That's a great question, Anthony. My true belief is that its ability to create syndicated viral syndication so quickly. Whereas Facebook, within Facebook, most of our communities are people that we already know, right? So those communities extend, but there are limitations upon the community that you keep. On Twitter, it's more of an open-faced platform. You are probably following people you don't even know, and there are probably people that you don't even know that are following you. And so if you align yourself with people that have similar interests, they may not have all the same interests, but they could have similar interests. And I put out a piece of content on Twitter. Perfect example, yesterday, somebody in my office sent me a video of a bride and a groom and their groomsmen dancing down the aisle, right, to this big music thing, right? There were 12,000 views on it when we got the video. I put it on my Twitter feed, and it got re-syndicated, so all my followers watched it, their followers sent it to their followers, and today I woke up and there were 1.2 million views of the video that started with 12,000 views when I syndicated it. That video was on Good Morning America this morning as one of their feature pieces. So not only are we dictating from Twitter what's popular on the web, we're dictating what's popular on television based on what's popular from the web. And it's happening from Twitter because the ability to spread a message and recommune that audience into one environment is so quick. I shut down a website every day because I send too much traffic to it from my Twitter feed. That's a really, really significant capability. And by the way, it's not going to be the last one. Somebody's going to come and usurp it with something that actually allows you to syndicate even quicker.
Usurp Twitter, you're saying?
Well, I think that a company will come along that improves upon Twitter's technology. Twitter's just the first microblogging institution. There was Friendster, there was MySpace. Facebook's just kind of doing it better, and eventually I think somebody will come along with a microblog, and it might already exist. It could be FriendFeed, it could be something else, that will come in and do it in a way that the search is more relevant, that you can find, that you can drive through the search in a quicker, easier way, that you can re-syndicate it easier in a way that actually makes more sense on the screen. But the real value of it currently is that it's alive. You can sit in front of it on your computer screen and watch it move and watch a live living thing actually take place. That's the closest thing the web has come to television so far. And you don't have to hit a refresh button if you get the right software application.
We got time for a quickie, right? It's not a longie? Quickie?
What do you think of the proposition that we've discussed here that movie stars are becoming less and less important, and that in that sense, what you're doing is a very commendable but also shrewd adaptation in an evolutionary sense in terms of keeping yourself, since the star system no longer seems to be functioning in a traditional way?
To say that the movie stars aren't relevant is, I don't have 3 million followers because I'm really great at putting up content. I have 3 million followers because I'm famous. I'm not because I have movies that come out and people see it and a lot of people know me. I think that that's still valuable. I do think that if people in the entertainment business don't learn to embrace and monetize the web, I think that they'll become less and less relevant based on the fact that nobody's going to be able to afford to pay movie stars what movie stars make. So you'll go find the next cheapest resource. I mean, right now, the people that are stars on the web are really cheap resources. Like Barry Diller was saying when I was in here, you can make a piece of content for $3,000 to $5,000, and you don't have to pay a movie star fee, right? So unless movie stars learn to leverage the platform in a way to keep themselves relevant and to keep their audiences activated, they're not going to be able to demand the fees that they get, and you know, they will become less and less relevant. So I think it's really a survival tactic, and I'm already seeing it. Like, a lot of my friends are like, well, how do I get on the thing? You know, how do I get in the thing? You know, do I need to hire a person to do my thing for me and do? And you know, if people just stop and take the time to do it themselves, they'll find much greater gains than going and hiring somebody to do it for them. Although they may want to hire somebody to help them navigate it and learn how to do it themselves.
All right, we got to go. Our time is up. Please join me in thanking Ashton Kutcher.
Thank you, guys. Cheers, man. Thank you.